Um, all these plants that I'm talking about, except for this one, I eat. I do not eat the Coontie plant, and I'll explain why. There are lots of books about edible and wild and medicinal plants out there. Many of them will kill you if you follow them exactly to the rule. Eating wild and edible plants is sort of an art and a science. It is not easily done by book. So if you have a couple of good books out there, I will not recommend any, but it's always good to cross-reference things. I look for books where people use, this is how I eat it, or they have recipes in the back of the book. I could talk about each one of these that I eat, except for this one, and let me explain why. This is called Coontie. Zamia is a tropical cycad, found many different places of the world, but this one is our Florida one. It was almost extinct, this plant. It was harvested almost to extinction for its starch in its roots. So its root is bitter, but like many bitter starches, like cassava is an example of the bitter starch, would need to be boiled in a couple of changes of water. So the Coontie was harvested by native people for generations here in Florida, but preparing for World War I, it was harvested almost to extinction to provide troops for the Navy, rations for the Navy. That's how much it was harvested. There is a host butterfly plant that relies on the Coontie, and that was thought to be extinct, except that Coontie over the years has gained popularity as landscaping. And I don't know if any old-timers are here from this area. You've seen it kind of creep up. It was on the side of the highways. The highway department started planting it up the highway. So the Attila butterfly was thought to be extinct, and because its only food that it eats as a caterpillar is this plant. When that was gone, the butterfly was gone. But it was found in South Florida, and as we're planting this more and more for landscaping across Florida, that butterfly is spreading. I haven't seen it this far north yet, but I'm crossing my fingers. So that's why I didn't eat this plant, because there's not too much of it. Usually it's cultivated variety. If you haven't seen the seeds over there, the seeds don't really germinate at a very high rate. So you'd have to plant a bunch of those in order for them to germinate. And that's why it doesn't rebound very quickly. And I think part of that is because this is such an old plant, I think there's a species of something that used to eat those seeds, poop it out, and then the germination was much higher. But I think whatever ate that didn't exist. So my wife,
the seeds edible for us?
No. So that's
just
a great
starchy
question.
Root? Yeah.
Just the starchy root. Yeah, just the starchy root. Good question.
Where does it seed come from?
So I don't know if you saw those.
Yeah.
I kind of made those happen. They almost look like a grenade, like an old style grenade. So this plant is also a male and a female variety. So you will see the cones, the tall, skinny ones. Those are the pollen cones, just like on a pine tree. And the fat, thicker ones, they will eventually fill up with the seeds like this. And I just opened that one. There's some seeds over there. I'm just saying. I'm gonna plant some of those. Okay. Yeah, so that would be a male cone. Yeah, so that has the pollen. So when you're planting them, if you plant them at home, make sure you have a male and a female.
Now, is this female like this, or is this?
Yep, that's the female cone. Yeah, that's ripening up with seeds there. Right. So I would probably suggest planting more than one or two or three or four. That's just because I'm like, we need to restore this plant back to Florida. That was a little bit of my soapbox. Any newcomers and not get a handout? Yeah. Okay. So, this is the only plant that I don't eat. All the rest of them I do. And that's probably the best information that I can give you about edible plants. Don't trust anybody. That includes myself.
What's your reason?
Well, when I look at it this way, if your life is on the line, don't trust anybody. My background a little bit is very informal. I was a wilderness survival instructor through the 90s in New York and spent many, many, many weeks surviving just on plants. So that's my background. I've eaten many, many of these plants, and I'm still here. In fact, better for having done it.
But I mean, what's the reason for not eating shark food?
Oh, because it was
Palmetto
almost to extinction. So you really can't find this in the wild. So our topic today is Florida wild or Florida native plants. So exactly. So if you're eating this plant, you've dug it out of somebody's yard right now. So if you right. So that's don't go home and be like, Steven said to dig it out of my neighbor's yard. Which I wouldn't say I haven't done things like that, but so if you ever do it, I would say, if you think about it, plant just one, or eat just one and plant the other ones.
I have a question.
Yes.
As for landscaping, are they relatively expensive plants?
They are relatively expensive because they're slow to propagate, and I think it's because of the seeds not being really good at germination. That's just my theory. We sell them here at the shop at Bok. They always seem to be a little bit higher priced as you get it from some of the other places. So not the most common thing to buy right now because it's not easy. And they make wonderful landscaping. You plant this, you don't need to water it. It's a Florida native. It's like one of those things. Probably the investment in the beginning will be a little bit higher, but then and this is it. This is as high as it gets. It mostly likes the sun. If it is out of the sun, in shade, that is, the leaves will be a little bit different size and shape, struggling to get the sun, but they can survive in a mixture of conditions. It does tend to get fungus, especially if you have the non-native cycads around you, like the sago palms. They are the carrier of the fungus. They're the reason why they're sick.